So we've got vacancies now with the Falcons, with the Panthers, with the Chargers, and with the Raiders.
Right.
Is that all of them so far? 4 so far?
I think so.
Only 4 out of 32. There are other hot spots to keep an eye on. We don't know how it's all going to play out. But the one that it is going to dominate everyone's attention and focus this week is that the Patriots are expected to move on.
Oh, just that guy that's the greatest coach in the
greatest
history
coach
of
of all
football?
time.
Just that guy?
Now, look, I've been using the skydiving metaphor that will Robert Kraft eventually jump out of the plane?
Oh, yeah.
And is there a way that Robert Kraft could go in and say, here's my plan.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to do. I suppose there, in theory, is a way that he can convince Robert Kraft that he's willing to embrace change, that he's willing to do what needs to be done, that it's a compelling plan that makes him say, because the coaching ability, undeniable.
Yeah.
They love what he can do as a coach.
Of course.
The problem is they feel like they have a 70s, 80s, 90s football operation.
Yeah, manager, right. That's what I said on the show last night, right? I was like, it's the managerial stuff that bothers me with Belichick.
Too resistant to change.
Right.
Doesn't trust people. You've lived in that bubble.
Oh, I
He doesn't
know.
trust anybody.
Doesn't trust
It's one of the
anybody.
reasons why 2 of his kids work there.
Yeah.
Who can you trust if you can't trust your own kids?
Right.
Unless it's Succession or something like that. But that's and like the world has passed him by on things unrelated to what he does best.
The X's and O's.
But on the things he does best, he's as good as anyone who's ever lived, if not better.
Right.
And he still wants to do that, and he loves that part of
Right.
it. So this is still a challenge. And Belichick met with reporters this morning. He said, I'm under contract. I'm going to do what I always do. When he says, I'm under contract, that underscores there ain't going to be no trade. I said that last night. There is not going to be a trade.
Code word.
That's
not
code
trade.
for pay me or fire me.
Right.
But I'm not playing your little game
Right.
where you try to go get, if you don't want me here, I'm not playing along with this effort for you to go get a first-round pick for me. No, you pay me, F you pay me, or F you fire me. You're not going to trade me. I'm not playing that game. And I think that they know that. They're smart enough to know that however this thing disengages, it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
And I also think that part of the tug-of-war here is, do they have to fire him and owe him? Because you know the game that Belichick plays. They've gotten in issues with it, like with Brett Bielema.
Yeah.
Somebody's got a big buyout, and they pay the guy peanuts and stick the other team or the other college for the balance. I think there's a concern that he'll go somewhere and get peanuts for 2024 and stick Robert Kraft for the balance. I think the best outcome, and I've said this all along, just part ways, rip up the contract, no further obligation. Whatever you get financially is coming from the new team. We don't owe you anything. You don't owe us anything. No draft picks. No, just boom, over, done. We go our separate ways. I think they'd like to do that. I don't know that. I think they'd like to do that. But Belichick can just say, I don't want to go. I'm not leaving. If you want me to go, you have rights under the contract to tell me to go, and I have rights under the contract if you tell me to go.
Yeah, I mean, Belichick's going to play hardball, that's for sure. He's going to do it the way he deems most necessary to put him in a successful position for his next move. This feels inevitable, right? I mean, again, I know people. I know people in football. It certainly seems like there's no way Belichick's back. No way. He's planning his next move as we speak. I don't believe him anything he's saying as far as I'm doing what I'm always doing, and it's way too early. Yeah, it might be too early to figure out exactly where he's going to be the head coach, but it's not too early to think that he's not going to be the head coach of the New England Patriots. I think that's a foregone conclusion at this point, right? And it feels like it's time anyways. You know, it does. It feels like, hey, it's a little bit like maybe even the Brady thing. It's just, hey, at the time it comes to the end, we got to both go our separate ways. We need a new new energy, a new little motivation in life to kind of spark this. And we've been there, done that here with this organization. So we'll see where it goes. Belichick, I mean, for my money, is the greatest coach in all sports in the history of American sports. That's how highly I think of him. I will say, too, on top of this, I'm a little disappointed in yesterday. I'm disappointed in the Patriots fans and a little bit. That was a pretty blah send-off for the greatest coach ever.
I just thought that this would be the players go out there and kick ass.
It was pretty blah.
And it was a snow game. Yeah. How many times we get a snow game? And it's funny. Ezekiel Elliott said after the game, I grew up my whole life wanting to play in a snow game, and now I did, and it sucked.
Yeah, they're only good if it's really important and you feel like you're playing for something. Yeah. If you're playing for nothing, it gets cold in a hurry, and then you start to go, damn, it hurts getting hit like this, and you lose that emotion. But yeah, it'd be interesting.
I thought it was going to be an appropriate send-off.
Right. I thought the stadium would be packed still just to send him off that way. Yeah, it was a little lackluster, and I think probably, yes, the record and the weather being the ultimate factor that hurt that.
But that's what happens when it's been this kind of slow decline where, it wasn't just one bad season. And again, this went off the rails last year.
Yeah, right.
When
that's where
he gets the idea to make Matt Patricia his offensive coordinator. And we said on this show, if any other coach was doing this, the reaction would be, have you lost your mind?
Right.
That's just not how it works. You don't take a guy who has spent his whole career on the defensive side of the ball and just flip it around and say, oh, go be the offensive coordinator. It's too specialized. It's too intense on what is required to be a good defensive coordinator versus what's required to be a good offensive coordinator.
Definitely.
So that's where I think it ended.
Yeah, it's like,
and this is just the detail as to when it's actually going to end.
As I said last night, as I said a minute ago, the managerial stuff is the things you question. There's no doubt about it. I think that's what you look at. He can still coach football at X's and O's, but to your point, offense and defensive coach, could either one of those guys teach the other to a degree? Sure, a little bit. Can a guitarist, play the drums a little bit in the band? Probably. Can the drummer play the guitar a little bit? Yeah. But to the quality to where we're going to pay big money to go watch them not play the positions they're intended or instruments they're intended to play, and a lot of money I'm going to pay for that? Absolutely not. I mean, between that was one of the craziest things we've seen in football from any coach in the last decade. That was crazy. I mean, really, a special teams coach and a lifelong defensive coordinator called plays for a team that was like the most unbelievable offensive system, just inevitable force for 20 years with Tom Brady, and they went that route. The way the quarterback was handled this year, whether it was Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi, all of that was disastrous. And as we've talked, I think there's some things on the roster that he hasn't evolved with as well and got out of that 80s, 90s mold that you were referring to. And I think some of that
the game has changed.
The game has changed.
Even if you're great with the X's and O's,
field is big, right?
The rules change. Yes. It creates opportunities elsewhere to have different types of players. They have been very bad at drafting and developing receivers. Yeah. I don't know whether it's the drafting or the developing. Because
it's a receiver league right now.
Right.
Your point.
And you draft a guy, and you can't just get impatient with him and send him off the field. And part of that may have been Brady. Brady, guys out here, he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Get this guy the hell off the field.
Yeah.
So there are real issues that he needs to address. But he's still a great coach.
He is.
And he still gets the team ready, and he's still got a future in the league. He was asked if he'd be willing to give up some personnel control in New England. He said, I'm for collectively what we decide as an organization is the best thing for the football team. And look, again, maybe he's going to make a vague gesture to, like anytime it feels like a relationship's going to fall apart, the side that wants to keep it going makes all sorts of concessions, and then once the threat is neutralized, you just go back to doing exactly what you were. So I feel like at this point, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's going to be very hard to convince ownership that he's willing to change and will do it, not just window dressing. And I don't know that, is he the type that would ever grovel and beg and say, I really want to stay here. I really want to keep this job. Will you please, here's what I'll do. I'll do this. Can I do that? Can I do this? Can I do that? He's not the type to do that.
I don't think he is either.
I just think it's a matter of time.
Right.
They sit down and meet, and the end result is we move on. And it's either going to be firing or a mutual parting. Again, it's still, there's a thin, slim possibility, but it just isn't practical, just like trading him. Thin, slim possibility, it just isn't practical because of who he is, how he's wired, and I think he made it clear today. I'm here until you tell me to leave.
That's
and
right.
if you tell me to leave, I'm going to walk out the door with 20 to 25 million in financial obligation for 2024.
Yeah, no, I expect a mutual parting ways press conference
I'm not even sure it'll be
release.
mutual.
Yeah.
I don't remember when.
Do you think
remember
the
when
Patriots
the 49ers
want to look like they want to?
They want to make it look
point?
mutual.
Right.
And remember, well, the
Oh, and
49ers did
he
it with
won't.
Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Your new friend.
Right.
They called it mutual parting.
Right.
And when they talked to Jim Harbaugh, he said, "It wasn't mutual parting. They fired me." That may be exactly what happens.
Yeah, I hear you. We'll see where that goes. Delicate situation, certainly. Either way, it's the greatest run we've ever seen any team ever have, and it's because of him. It's the Dark Lord, right? You're Dr. Doom. That was Darth Vader. He went off the field, and
Done
Darth
pretty
Vader
well for himself.
Yeah.
Sometimes Darth Vader wins.
Hey, Darth Vader had a damn big spaceship. I don't know. He seemed like he was doing all right. I don't know. That thing was big. He might have had that owner money, that gold encrusted damn toilet and stuff. But I did get a kick yesterday out of Belichick going off as Darth Vader too, right? I mean, there are 2 hoodies on, the mask pulled up to his eyes. I was just like, you couldn't make it up. This is Bill Belichick. He's not looking for attention. He doesn't want extra attention on him.
You can't even see it's him.
No, you have no idea. You just know it's him by the way he's walking and the mannerisms.
Hey, look who got the hug. Look who got the big hug.
Yeah, well, this is
Robert Saleh got the perfunctory thing. There's the big hug there. Well, I wonder if Aaron Rodgers is thinking, you know what, maybe Woody would. That would be something. That would definitely generate plenty of traffic at ProFootballTalk.com if Bill Belichick finally became HC of the NYJ. Let's take a break. The Cowboys did a little TCB yesterday. They're the 2 seed. And oh, by the way, there was a little comment made last night by Jerry Jones that we need to talk about as well. Yeah,
right.
So all right, we'll talk Cowboys next here. How about them Cowboys on PFT Live?
Yeehaw.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.